Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy, and I'm an ordained minister. We are in Bible study. We're in the Niv, and we will be throughout the whole of 2025. We are in this video, we are in Exodus chapter 34, and then we're going to do all of that. So it's verses 1 through 35. So where we're at here is the establishment of the Mosaic law. The golden calf was made by Aaron, who was made the head priest. And then there were 2 stone tablets, and Moses threw them on the ground because he was upset by the golden calf. Worshipping a golden calf, along with a bunch of other various types of statues or anything of that nature, was common in Egypt, where they would have just come out of. So it would have been the type of worship that they would have been required to do in their Egyptian households if they were living with people. The Lord said to Moses, "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning and then come up on Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. No one is to come up with you or be seen anywhere on the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain." So absolutely nobody. So Moses chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones and went up Mount Sinai early in the morning as the Lord commanded him. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. You know, because in my brain, they're like this big, and they're like, and I'm picturing this 80-year-old man trekking these tablets up the mountain. So maybe that's why they were double-sided, because you could only get so many sentences on each side. Like maybe 3 on one side and then 2 on the other. I can't imagine that. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with them and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yep. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sins of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation. We would know that in these, so you can look at it as in a sense of generational trauma, or you could look at that as in a sense of generational karma. I think of it more in the case of generational karma. If you've got raggedy, soul behavior, at one level, and, the next generation doesn't learn to behave differently, and they repeat those mistakes, and then they teach them, and then they teach them. And no matter what side of any playing field in this country that you feel like you're on right now, you probably do feel like you're seeing exactly that play out before your eyes. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. "O Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes," he said, "then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. Take us as your inheritance." Then the Lord said, "I am making a covenant with you. Before all your people, I will do wonders never done in any nation in all the world. The people you live among will see how awesome is the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. Obey what I command you today. I will drive out before you the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land where you are going, or they will be a snare among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. All right, so A, that is a symbol of the goddess Asherah. These idols, in particular here, are fertility, because Baal and Asherah. Fertility, in the sense of the native culture's opinion, gods and goddesses. In the sense of God's opinion, demons. And they did have various forms of child sacrifice involved. And it did indeed involve setting things like setting children on fire, or, any other number of just terrible, just if you can think of the, like you just take setting children on fire, and then just every form of abuse you can think of, under that. That too. Not necessarily to your own children. So to children that you would, of course, kidnapped and things. So terrible. Absolutely terrible in the practice of, or at least that's the legends thereof. If somebody else has more knowledge on that particular topic, they can feel free to contact me, and I will make that link available. Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Be careful not to make a treaty with those that live in the land, for they prostitute themselves to their gods and sacrifice to them. They will invite you, and you will eat their sacrifices. And when you choose some of their daughters as wives for your sons, those daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, and they will lead your sons to do the same. Yes, this is in this particular, especially this particular time frame in history and in this culture. You were not the religion of your father. You were the religion of your mother. So who you chose as a wife, whatever religion she had, you were probably going to end up worshiping it too. And that way it was important to the Jewish culture, and this is part of what's starting here, that you were Jewish if your mother was Jewish and not otherwise. Because the fathers can come and go. You might not always know who the father is, because a lot of war, a lot of violence. You might not always know who the father is, but you know who the mother is. Or at least somebody did at once upon a time when they birthed you. And when you choose some of their daughters as wives for your sons, and those daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, they will lead your sons to do the same. Do not make cast idols. Celebrate the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days, eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for that is the month you came out of Egypt. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me, including all firstborn males of your livestock, whether from herd or flock. Redeem the firstborn donkey with a lamb, but if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem all your firstborn sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you shall labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and the harvest, you must rest. Celebrate the Feast of Weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. That is the fall. 3 times a year, all your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your territory, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times each year to appear before the Lord your God. So you can leave your dwelling place unattended, he's saying. You'll make sure that it will be safe. You can come back and it will still be your house. You won't find other people living in it. Do not offer the blood of a sacrifice to me along with anything containing yeast, and do not let any of the sacrifice from the Passover feast remain until morning. Bring the best of the firstfruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread or drinking water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. The radiant face of Moses. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them. So Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterward, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commands of the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with them, he removed the veil until he came out. And when he came out, he told the Israelites what had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with the Lord. So they couldn't handle the high level light quotient that he had, that he was physically radiating out this energy of healing and love, because it's God, so it's healing and love. So they couldn't handle it, and they got restless, and they were like, you gotta mask your face, we can't handle it, because they knew they had to listen, but they also couldn't sit still. They couldn't stop being afraid. They couldn't focus on the words because of the amount of light. I've seen that play out in different ways. I've never had anybody tell me my face was like shining light or anything. But I can say that because this, like, everything takes place in the one location for me, it's got a very high level of Holy Spirit energy in it. And people who are low energy vibration, people who, don't want to be healed in that way, whatever that way is, yet they don't like to be here. But if people who are needing to recover from, any particular type of medical procedure, they just don't feel good, or what they're looking for is they're ready for that healing energy, then they want to come over and they have that urge. And I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying it's, it's the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit that makes them want to come here, because I do things that sort of amplify and invite in, him. Because my name is Amy, and I'm an ordained minister. So until the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Bible study. Welcome to Adventures in Pixieland, and this is Bible study. We are in the Niv. Yeah, and I know people have a lot of reactions to that. It's just one version. When I get all the way through this one, I'll do another one. The idea is to compare them to each other. To compare them to each other, I have to read them. And we are in Matthew. We are in chapter 26, which we are going to do all of chapter 26, which is till verse 75. So let's get started. The plot against Jesus. First, chapter 26, verse 1. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, "As you know, the Passover is in 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they plotted to arrest Jesus in some sly way and kill him. But not during the feast, they said, or there may be a riot among the people. Okay, so they put forethought into their murder plans. Jesus anointed at Bethany. Well, Jesus was in Bethany in the home of the man known as Simon the leper. A woman came to him with an alabaster jar of expensive perfume, which she poured on his head while he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. I tell you the truth. Wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in the memory of her." And obviously true, because she's in the Bible. Judas agrees to betray Jesus. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" So they counted for him 30 silver coins. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. So Judas had to scheme some first. He didn't initially have a plan about how he was going to do it. And he was prepaid for what he did, because he did it with intention. The Lord's Supper. On the first day of the Feast of the Unleavened Bread, also called Passover, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" Perfectly reasonable question. Where are we hosting this holiday? Most of us are probably asking those kinds of questions right now if they don't already have figured out their Thanksgiving plans. Passover. I've attended many of a Passover. Passover is on a monthly, like a moon calendar, not necessarily a solar calendar, which is why it's not always in the same same date. And since Passover moves, Easter moves. Those two things are still together. He replied, it's verse 18, he replied, "Go to the city to a certain man and tell him, the teacher says, my appointed time is near. I'm going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house." So the disciples did as Jesus directed them and prepared the Passover. When the evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely not I, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. And the Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to the man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him to have not have been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "Yes, it is you." Or, "You yourself have said it." So those are two different things. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, and broke it. He gave it to his disciples, saying, Take and eat this, my body." 1 second. Sorry about that. I wanted to grab my notepad real quick. Let me just jump back into this because it's already long. I needed to note down certain passages. I have somebody preparing for baptism next year. So whenever I'm doing any kind of Bible study, if I note certain passages I want them to read, I'm writing it down because it's part of their Bible study. And this right here is what we do when we do communion, or at least a version of it. Verse 26. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, gave thanks and broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take it and eat it. This is my body." Then he took the cup, gave thanks, and offered it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is the blood of the covenant," or in some manuscripts, the new covenant, "which is poured out for the many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now until that day when I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Okay, so Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Verse 31. Then Jesus told them, "This very night you will all fall away on account of me, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered." See Zechariah 13:7. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter replied, "Even if we all fall away on account of you, I never will." "I tell you the truth," Jesus answered. "This very night, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." But Peter declared, "Even if I had to die with you, I will never disown you." All of the other disciples said the same. Hello, friends, and welcome to Bible study. We're actually going to do this in 3 parts because I got interrupted, and we were part way through Matthew. But it was verses 1 through 75, and I do believe we left off. I got a phone call that I couldn't avoid, really. Can't. And like it was an absolute necessity, so I had to stop recording the video. We left off at verse 35. So you're going to need to look for the first one. And then in this video, we're going to do verses 36 through 75. In the NIV, I know people don't like the NIV so much. We're going to do all the versions that I can find. I just chose this one first. Let's not get excitable. I don't, The idea is to be like, hey, that said something different in the last one we read. And that's like the intention. So calm down. I'm not looking to say it's the perfection. I'm looking to see what they changed and why. But I'm also going to read every single word. Gethsemane. Gethsemane? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it. Gethsemane. Gethsemane. So I'd say that. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane and said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee with him. So that'd be James and John. And he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." You have to imagine, in order for him to be the forgiver of all the sins have to overtake him, right? Imagine what that would feel like in here, pulling in all of those very disgustingly gross human desires that we know are sins from everywhere, all over the world. Past, present, and future. It's a lot, right? Of course your soul is overwhelmed, Jesus. How could it not be? Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." I imagine it's quite painful. Imagine, to me, it's like a spirit version of someone physically transforming into a werewolf. I mean, it looks painful in every single way they do it. It never looks nice, right? And yet not as I will, but as you will. Right? Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Could you men not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Imagine that level of emotions going through him as that sort of, is coming on. He asked Peter, watch and pray so you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, my Father, if it is possible for this cup to be taken away, unless I drink it, may your will be done. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed a third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to his disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. So what he foretold is happening. And I've got to imagine the emotions. I mean, like I don't know how I would feel, but man, it would be strong. Jesus arrested. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him, a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas says, greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. Jesus replied, friend, do what you came for. Or, friend, why have you come? Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Put your sword back in its place, Jesus said to him, for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. No violence permitted if you're worshiping Jesus. Do you think I cannot call on my Father and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? You think I need you to physically rise up and protect me like that? That's basically his attitude. But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way? At that time, Jesus said to the crowd, am I leading a rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. I mean, they all ran. If they died with him, we wouldn't have Christianity where it is right now. It wouldn't exist. So keep that in mind before we get too judgy. Before the Sanhedrin, verse 57, those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so they could put him to death. But they could not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, 2 came forward and declared, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days. Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you? But Jesus remained silent. Some things don't deserve an answer. Some things don't deserve your energy. The high priest said to him, I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Christ, or Messiah, the Son of God. It reappears in a few more verses. Yes, it is as you say, Jesus replied. But I say to all of you, in the future, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on a cloud and on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look now, you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" "He is worthy of death," they answered. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Christ. Who hit you?" So, they want him to prove he can see who's doing anything and what's going on. Peter disowns Jesus. Now Peter was sitting in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You are also with Jesus of Galilee," she said, but he denied it before them. "I don't know what you're talking about." Because, he snuck in. He's trying to get information on what they're doing. That's verse 71. Then he went out to the gateway where another girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath. "I don't know the man." This is important because he would have been put to death right then if he had said so. After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them, for your accent gives you away." Like, you're not from here. We can tell you're from the south. Then he began to call down curses on himself, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken to him. "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. And I can't think of any other way to end that. Because, of course the prophet of the Lord is always going to be correct. That's one of the defining traits of the prophet of the Lord. And he's more than just the prophet of the Lord. He's the Messiah. So we would have every ability of every prophet, and then some. Because we don't get to put limitations on Jesus. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we're in Bible study. We are in Psalms, Book 1, Psalm 33, and we're picking up where we left off yesterday. We're doing verses 12 through 22. So, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he chose for his inheritance. From heaven the Lord looks down and sees all mankind. From his dwelling place he watches all who live on earth. He who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. No king is saved by the size of his army. No warrior escapes by his great strength. A horse is a vain hope for deliverance. Despite all its great strength, it cannot save. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, on those who hope in his unfailing love, to deliver them both from death, to deliver them from death and keep them alive in famine. We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. May your unfailing love rest upon us, Lord, even as we put our hope in you. Amen to that.